Some letters from time always arrive as late echoes. Welcome to Doc at the 13th month post office. Here, every emotion gets a listening ear. And every heartfelt message is safely kept. Weekend dinner at my in-laws. Brought fruit and supplements. The moment I walked in, I heard laughter filling the whole house. But that laughter landed in my ears. And somehow it always carried a hint of malice. The living room was packed with my in-laws' relatives. All the aunts and busybodies were squeezed together, their eyes drilling straight into me. I had just set the things down on the coffee table. In-law snarked over pork. Well, if it isn't the big rich lady of our family. Why so plain today? Not even a single piece of jewelry. I heard from Mrs. Zhang downstairs the other day that your company's cash flow snapped. Did it actually go under? The room froze. Every gaze locked onto me, and before I could even open my mouth, the door swung open. My husband walked in with his arm around some young woman. She was dressed to the nines. The diamond ring on her finger blinding enough to sting your eyes. The moment he stepped in, he hollered, "Ma." I brought Xiaolu over to liven things up. And with that, he nudged the girl right up to his mother. "This is Miss Lin I just met. Pretty and so well-mannered." My mother-in-law grabbed the girl's hand, smiling so hard her eyes squeezed into slits. Then she turned and glared at me. "Look at Xiaolu here. And then look at you, walking around like a corpse all day. No wonder Awei can't stand you." He flaunted his mistress. "You'd get no dignity." But since Mom already asked, I'll just say it straight. Your firm's dead. Don't drag me. I'm with Xiaolu now. My career's thriving. Annual salary, 30 million. The relatives immediately burst into gasps. All praised him. He gloated. Reached out and jabbed my shoulder with his finger. His tone dripping with contempt. "Who the hell do you think you are? You'd never joined us without me. Now that I've made it, compared to a washed-up wife like you, I'm on a completely different level." The homewrecker sidled up too, saying in that syrupy voice, "Sister, you can't force love. Just let Awei and me be together. I'll take good care of Auntie and Awei from now on." No words. Dialed. I dialed my assistant. And said into the phone, clear as day, the first thing. Freeze every single card under my husband's name. Even with his secret swaps. No delay. My husband let out a scoff. "Who do you think you're scaring? Those cards are on my credit. You think you can just touch them?" I ignored him and kept talking. Second thing. Tell HR to fire the marketing director immediately. That would be my husband. Reason, violation of company policy. Also, collect his embezzlement proof. Prepare to sue. My husband paled. He pointed at me. "Why you? You wouldn't dare. I earned that position with my own ability. What's it got to do with you?" I still didn't look at him. Next, go to my Riverview condo. Take everything in there that doesn't belong to me. Especially some woman's clothes, jewelry, and makeup. Pack it all up and dump it on the street. If anyone tries to stop you, call security. The homewrecker's face twisted. She grabbed my husband's arm. "Awei. He's kicking me out." I hung up the phone. Facing stunned crowd, especially my mother-in-law. Her chopsticks dropped. My husband snapped back and lunged at me, trying to grab my phone. "Have you lost your mind? That's my home. You can't toss my things. I make 30 million a year. You think I'm scared of you?" I sidestepped him and said coldly, "That condo is my premarital asset. You're living in my house, using my supplementary card. Even that 30 million a year job of yours was handed to you by my father as a favor to the family. So now, what exactly do you have left to brag about?" Dead silence. Relatives exchanged glances. Then looked away. None spoke. My mother-in-law tried. Mouth opened, but no words came. Her face flashed red, then white, and finally her legs gave out. She nearly slid right off her chair. Silence lasted mere seconds, before it was shattered by my mother-in-law's shrill scream. She slammed her hand on the table. The bowls and chopsticks jumped with a loud clatter. Braised pork sauce splattered onto the tablecloth. Greasy and pathetic. My mother-in-law pointed right in my face. Spit flying onto my cheek. What the hell are you talking about? Away earned that position through his own blood, sweat, and tears. What's your father got to do with it? Stop flattering yourself. Freezing cards, throwing out things? Your firm's bankrupt and you're mad. My husband regained composure. His pale face had turned a furious shade of purple. He shoved the homewrecker aside and charged up to me. Knuckles cracked. You accuse me of fraud? I'll take you to court. I make 30 million a year. Why would I risk embezzling that kind of pocket change? And that condo, I've lived there for years. It's marital property now. The homewrecker fidgeted aside. Eyes all red and watery, playing the victim for all she was worth. She turned to the relatives and whispered. I had no idea she was like this. Away told me. He and his wife stopped loving each other ages ago. I thought divorce was happening. But it was really a dig, painting me as some bitter, washed-up wife. Like I was the one who couldn't keep her man. I let out a cold laugh. I pulled out my phone, opened a photo in my gallery. I shoved it in his face. You were in this very apartment taking selfies in my silk nightgown. You posted, finally home. Did he tell you that too? No feelings? The homewrecker's face went ghost white. She dropped her head, too scared to even look at me. The relative's sympathy curdled into pure disgust in an instant. Phones buzzed, they'd been hiding it. Taking selfies in the real wife's clothes? Shameless. MIL rushed to defend her precious. It's just a nightgown. What's the big deal? If Away wanted her to wear it, that just means he cares about her. You're the one always paranoid and suspicious. No wonder Away can't stand you. Cares about her? I shoved my phone back in my pocket and stepped forward. Cares, with my money? That bespoke suit he's wearing? I bought it for his birthday last year. 28,000. That watch on his wrist was a promotion gift from my father. 100 grand? That salary? That comes from my father's company. If he's so damn capable, why not quit and prove himself? My husband's face flushed red, then drained white. He shot back, I just don't see the point. If I went out there, I'd make even more than I do now. Oh really? I raised an eyebrow. And pulled out my phone, ready to call my father. Perfect timing, Dad's waiting for me in the parking garage downstairs. Why don't I bring him up right now and ask him face to face? Did you get this job on merit or because you married his daughter? My words drained his face. He froze. She froze too. Most of that arrogance from moments ago just fizzled out. She knew my father's temper. If he actually showed up, Away's precious job would be gone in a heartbeat. That's when Great Aunt from the corner waddled over to play peacemaker. Oh, come on now, we're all family. Let's just talk this through. Away made a foolish mistake. It's New Year's, for heaven's sake. Just family dinner, you know how it goes. Making a scene embarrasses all. I glared. He begged me for son's bride price. When I said no, he went around calling me stingy. You begged me for money then. Then you turned around and told everyone I was full of spite. Family means this? That's your view? Auntie's face flushed crimson. She lowered her head awkwardly. Too embarrassed to say another word. I glanced at the wall clock. Wasting any more time with these people was pointless. I grabbed my bag off the couch and headed for the door. My mom-in-law blocked me. Stay. We're settling this now. If you dare freeze Away's card, or I'll storm your office. I dodged and said coldly, go ahead. Make all the noise you want. My company's going through some restructuring, but it's nowhere near bankruptcy. But your son? If he really gets fired, and he no longer has my supplementary card, tell me, can he still support you and your precious Xiaolu? Without waiting for their reaction, I walked out the door. Downstairs, I saw my assistant already waiting by the car. She came up to me immediately and reported, Ma'am, the supplementary card has been completely frozen. HR has already issued the termination notice. Security at the Riverview condo has arrived as well. They're clearing out the belongings now. I nodded. Opened the passenger door, got in, and told the driver, let's go. As the car pulled away, I looked back through the window. In-laws shouted from the balcony. Their faces twisted. The homewrecker stood behind them. Head down, lost in her own thoughts. I smiled faintly. Not a ripple in my heart. Just a breath I'd been holding in for years. Finally released. This farce was finally over. The car drove on smoothly. I reclined, eyes shut. Assistant rode shotgun. Tablet in hand. Quietly briefing me on the follow-up. Ma'am, we just received word. Young master bought Miss Lin a bag. When he tried to use the supplementary card, it was declined. He got into an argument with the cashier on the spot. Card machine broke, all cards failed. Miss Lin was so embarrassed she turned and stormed off. When my assistant said this, there was a hint of restrained amusement in her voice. Also, HR has already sent out the termination notice. CC'd to every department in the company. The stated reason is abuse of position for personal gain. Embezzled funds for luxury. Docs prove it. The whole company is buzzing right now. I took the water, perfect. How's the embezzlement evidence coming along? I asked. All organized. He moved fast from day one. At first it was inflated travel expenses. Then he went straight to raiding the project reserve funds. Altogether, it's over 2 million. We had the audit team cross-check it. The paper trail is rock solid. We can go legal anytime. My assistant handed me the tablet. The itemized breakdown was on screen. Every entry clearly flagged. I gave it a quick scan. Didn't need to study it, I'd sensed this was coming for a while. Before, I held back out of respect for our marriage. And for my mother-in-law's sake. Never called him out. Never thought he'd push it even further. He paraded his mistress, shamed me. What about the Riverview condo? I asked again. We were already moving out. He tried to stop them. Security held him back. All of Miss Yun's clothes, bags, makeup, and the jewelry box she kept in the bedroom. Packed up and dumped next to the trash bins at the complex entrance. A whole crowd gathered to watch the show. He was jumping mad, tried to swing at our crew. Security pinned him down. Then the cops even showed up. They saw it as a domestic matter, gave him a talking to, and left. My assistant added. Oh, and during the cleanup we found quite a lot. Luxury items he'd bought for Miss Lin. Receipts still in the bags. Mostly charged to your supplementary card. I let out a cold laugh. So he was bankrolling his side piece with my money. What a beautifully calculated scheme. The car had just pulled up to my villa. When my phone rang. Caller ID, husband. I answered. Before I could speak, his furious roar came through the line. Are you insane? Tell HR to retract that termination notice now. And my cards. Unfreeze them immediately. Or you will regret this. Regret? I leaned against the doorframe. My voice as calm as if I were discussing the weather. When you embezzled over $2 million in company funds. Did you think I'd forgive? Spending my money. Did you not think I'd make you regret it? Back at the party, when you jabbed your finger in my face, saying I was nothing, did you not think I'd make you regret it? Silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then his tone softened. Pliant. Almost groveling. Babe, I was wrong. I know I messed up. I wasn't thinking straight. I was out of my damn mind. That Xiaolu seduced me. She's a manipulative little snake. There was nothing real between us. Please, be the bigger person and forgive me just this once. I'll cut her off completely, no more contact ever. Forgive you? That's almost funny. When you and your mistress flaunted your affair in front of me. And laughing with your mother about my bankruptcy. Did you ever think this day would come? What happened to that 30 million a year salary of yours? How can you not even swipe a single card? That was only because of my father-in-law. His voice shrank to a mumble. Honey? I know I messed up. Just give me one more chance. I'll be good to you from now on. I swear I'll never do it again. If you don't unfreeze my cards, I won't even have money for food. Money for food? I raised an eyebrow. Aren't you the one making 30 million a year? How can you not have money for food? Oh, right. I forgot. That 30 million came from my father. Now that you're fired, it's gone. As for your cards. Frozen is frozen. That was always my money. I'll spend it on whoever I want. Why would I fund your side piece? He got defensive again. I'm your husband. How can you treat me like this? The moment you brought that mistress through your mother's door and challenged me to my face, you stopped being my husband. My voice went ice cold. And about the embezzlement. My assistant already has the evidence. If you're smart, you'll pay the money back now so we can end this cleanly. Otherwise, I'll see you in court. I didn't wait for a reply. I hung up on him and added his number to my block list. No sooner had I ended his call than my mother-in-law rang. I answered, and her shrill, hysterical sobbing filled the line. You jinx. You got Away fired. And you froze his cards. Do you want us dead? Let me tell you. If you don't fix this mess right now, I'll block your office daily. I'll make your life hell. I let out a cold laugh. Back then, when you and your son teamed up with that homewrecker to bully me. Did you ever think this day would come? He embezzled over 2 million. He's lucky I didn't call the cops on him. And you dare threaten me? Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, starting this month, that monthly allowance I gave you? It stops now. Isn't your son making 30 million a year? Let him support you from now on. You're cutting off my allowance? Her wailing got even louder. I'll make you pay for this. I hung up and blocked him. My assistant stepped up and handed me a document. Ma'am, these are the divorce papers. I've already had the lawyer draft the asset division. Given that your husband is involved in embezzlement, we can argue he leaves with nothing. Please take a look. I read the papers. She knew her stuff. She'd separated my premarital assets from the shared marital property, cleanly and precisely. Between the affair and the embezzlement, he's definitely getting nothing. Leave it there. He can come find me whenever he's ready to sign. I set the papers down on the coffee table. By the way, how's the restructuring at the company going? My assistant immediately shifted into work mode. Almost done. The whole point was to position us to acquire that tech company. The rumors about our cash flow problems were deliberate. We needed to drive down the acquisition price. They caved. Price is 30% lower. I nodded. This was what I'd really been working on. The so-called bankruptcy was just a smokescreen. But it turned out to be the perfect litmus test. Now I see my husband's true family. Better to cut my losses and focus on building my empire. Before long, my husband sent his aunt to plead his case and soften me up. I simply had my assistant hand her a copy of the divorce papers, along with the evidence of his embezzlement. She paled and never mentioned reconciliation. She slunk off. This was just the start. Knowing those two, they weren't about to back off quietly. But I'm not a pushover. If anyone comes at me again, I'll make sure they pay an even steeper price. I was busy with the company merger and had no time to deal with that mess of a husband. But he couldn't leave well enough alone. Roughly 3 days after his aunt's failed peacekeeping mission, I was in a senior management meeting when the front desk called. A Mr. Wong was making a scene downstairs. They couldn't stop him. I knew right away it was my husband. I frowned and told my assistant to handle it. And I told her to make sure he didn't disrupt normal business. The meeting lasted nearly an hour. The moment I stepped out, my assistant was waiting by the door with a troubled look. "Ma'am, he's in the reception room. He's very upset. He says if you don't see him, he'll go make a scene on the rooftop." I raised an eyebrow. Of course. For money, he'd sink to any low. Let him wait. I need to handle a few things in my office first. I said that and headed to my office. My assistant hurried after me. "Ma'am, he's been here since noon and hasn't eaten anything. He even snatched a bread roll from the receptionist earlier. He looked pretty wrecked." My steps slowed for a second. But I felt nothing. Just pity. To think that when he first joined my dad's company, he had no real skills, but at least he kept up some kind of decency. Now he's throwing away every shred of dignity over a bite to eat. After half an hour or so, I figured he had tired himself out. Then I had him brought in. The door swung open. There he was on the sofa. Hair a complete mess. Clothes rumpled, unlike his usual bespoke suits. Bragging about his $3 million salary. Unrecognizable. The second he saw me, he shot up from the couch. He rushed over and tried to grab my hands. I stepped back. His hands froze midair. He forced an awkward smile. "Honey, I know I messed up. I really know. Just forgive me this once. Unfreeze the card. And talk to your dad. Let me come back to the company, okay? I swear I'll never do it again." I walked around to my desk and sat down. I pointed at the chair across from me. "Sit. Let's talk properly." He sat, leaning in with that desperate, groveling look. "Honey, I've interviewed at several companies these past few days. But they either said I'm too old, or they asked about my past work. I couldn't answer. You know, all those company projects before. I only got them through your dad's connections. I have no real skills." Well, at least that was honest. In all his years at the company, aside from kissing ass, he never delivered a single decent result. Those few projects he was in charge of before, I had people secretly cleaning up his messes behind the scenes. That's the only reason there was never a major disaster. "So, when do you plan to repay the $2 million plus you embezzled?" I didn't beat around the bush. I went straight for the point. His face collapsed instantly. He rubbed his hands together and stammered, "Well, most of that money went to buying things for Xiaolu. And I put the rest into stocks. It's all tied up now. I really don't have any money right now. Honey, broke." I picked up the glass of water on my desk and took a small sip. "When you were buying bags and jewelry for your homewrecker. Don't tell me you had no money. When you and your mother mocked me for going bankrupt. Don't tell me you had no money." His head dropped even lower. His voice was barely above a mosquito's whisper. I wasn't thinking straight back then. Honey, we've been husband and wife. You can't just stand by and watch me starve, can you? Besides, you're loaded. You won't miss that money. Just take pity on me, alright? Pity you? I set down my glass, my eyes turning ice cold. Pity you? When you moved her in? Ignored me. No pity then? Your mom cursed me. Disgust. Did it ever cross her mind to pity me? She was left speechless. After a long silence, he suddenly dropped to his knees with a thud. He grabbed my leg and started bawling. Honey, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I'll grovel for you. Please, just give me one more chance. I yanked my leg free. I stepped back, watching him grovel like a wreck. Get up. Don't cause a scene. Clear, unfreeze cards, return to work. It's not happening. You will pay back the embezzled money. Or I call cops. Your life's not mine. When he saw I wasn't budging, he knew begging was useless. His face changed in an instant. He scrambled up from the floor, glaring at me with pure venom. Don't push your luck. I'm warning you. If you don't help me, I'll tell everyone the truth. That you're a gold-digging snob. Cheated and dumped. I'll cause a scene at your dad's. I'll ruin his business. I let out a cold laugh. I knew he'd pull this. Go ahead. Say whatever you want. Make all the noise you need. I have proof of your infidelity right here. And the paper trail from your embezzlement. If I hand these over, you won't just have to pay the money back. You'll go to prison. Then we'll see who people believe. You or me. His face went ghostly pale. He stumbled backwards, staring at me in disbelief. Why you? You've been ready all along? I haven't prepared anything. I just organized the facts. I picked up the phone on my desk and dialed the front desk extension. I asked security to come up and escort this gentleman out. It didn't take long. 2 security guards walked in. They grabbed him from both sides and dragged him out. He struggled, screaming, "You'll pay for this. I won't let this go." The office finally fell quiet. I rubbed my temples. My assistant knocked and entered. "Ma'am, should I handle this?" Lest he blabs. No, I shook my head. If he's foolish, he'll give me cause to call police. By the way, did he go to his mother's place? Yes. Yesterday afternoon. He went there and threw a tantrum for hours asking for money. His mother cussed him out and threw him out of the house. Assistant said, after you cut her allowance. Things have been tough for the old lady. She can't even touch her pricey supplements. She even pawned her gold bracelet for cash. She thought her son would take care of her. But the man himself is one step away from starving. Those two can't even stand being in the same room without fighting. They've smashed half the bowls in the house. I listened without any reaction. Back then, my mother-in-law used the allowance I gave her, boasting about her son and daughter-in-law. Now that the money's gone and her son's turned out worthless, of course she'd take all that resentment out on him. They only care about money, not family. How's the acquisition going? I changed the subject. I didn't want to waste another second on them. It's going very well. They've already agreed to our offer. We can sign the contract tomorrow. My assistant was thrilled. Once this deal closes, our company's market share will increase by at least 5 percentage points, and we'll also gain access to their core technology. Plenty of companies in the industry are green with envy. I nodded. The weight in my chest finally lifted. This acquisition is a crucial step for the company. The earlier leak about our broken cash flow was to lower their guard so we could pressure them on price. Now that goal is accomplished, the company's growth is about to reach the next level. As for my husband and mother-in-law, their downfall is just beginning. I won't fight them, I'll just stand here. and watch them, driven by their own greed and stupidity, fall deeper and deeper into the abyss. That night when I got home, I bathed, then leaned on the balcony. The evening breeze blew gently, carrying a slight chill. But it made me feel incredibly clear-headed. The past few years, I'd wasted too much on this marriage and trying to please his family. Now I'm free. I can finally focus on what I want to do. My phone rang. It was my dad. Kiddo, I heard you fired that jerk. Well done. I warned you about him. Now you see it, right? My dad's tone carried a hint of frustration at my poor judgment. But there was even more concern underneath. You see it now, right? Never again. Not ever. I said with a smile. Good, as long as you know. My dad sighed. If anything comes up with the company, call me anytime. Your dad will always have your back. And if that jerk ever dares to bother you again, you tell me directly. I'll deal with him. After hanging up, my heart felt warm. With my family behind me, there's nothing I'm afraid of. Next. It's time to properly enjoy the life that belongs to me. The day the acquisition contract was signed, the company held a small celebration. After it wrapped up, my assistant drove me home. She mentioned my in-laws. Her tone said it all. Her tone carried a hint of sorrow. Ma'am. Got it from Auntie Zhang, your old housekeeper. She said your mother-in-law's household is really struggling now. After you cut off his allowance, he took all those gold bracelets and jade pendants you gave him straight to the pawn shop just to scrape by. He used to insist on 2 meat dishes for every single meal. Now he just has plain congee with pickled vegetables for lunch. He won't even spring for an egg, the assistant said while driving. And before? He loved showing off to the other old ladies in the neighborhood, boasting son's millions, devoted daughter-in-law. Now those old ladies dodge him the second they see him coming. They say his big shot act has crashed. He stayed home for days. I leaned back, watching the streetlights blur past the window, feeling nothing. He blew my money, badmouthed me. This now? He's just back to the life he was always meant to live. Not worth pity. My husband still fighting? I asked offhandedly. Worse than ever. The assistant said with a bitter smile. The man can't find a job. Broke, mooches off his mom. His mom made noodles, he complained no meat. Got into a huge fight with her, and smashed the pot. Neighbors called cops, who just mediated. Wives can't settle family fights. I raised brow. Those two sure know how to tear each other apart. When they teamed up against me back then, why didn't I ever see them go at it like this? A couple days later, my husband's great-aunt suddenly called me. I didn't want to answer. But then I figured maybe I could squeeze some fresh gossip of that family. So I picked up. Call connected. I heard her sighing on the other end. Dear niece-in-law, could you possibly find it in your heart to show some mercy and leave your mother-in-law and a way to survive? They truly can't hold on much longer. What happened? I said, playing dumb on purpose. Your mother-in-law came to borrow money from me the other day. Old clothes, shoes splitting. She looked so pitiful. The great-aunt said. She told me. Awe picks fights with her every single day. They've smashed so many bowls at home. She doesn't even have money for groceries now. Borrowed money to survive. Where would I get it? My son just bought a house. I'm still paying off the bank loan. So I didn't lend her any. She burst into tears right then. Wished she'd never crossed you. I sneered. Now she knows regret? Where was that clarity back then? Great-aunt, it's not that I'm heartless. They pushed me way too far. Back when my husband took his little homewrecker to that party, my mother-in-law even joined them in ripping me apart. Back then, why didn't any of them think about giving me a way out? Yes, they were wrong. I've scolded them too. Second grandaunt quickly chimed in. But still, they're your in-laws. You can't just watch them starve to death. Away is a mess. But your mother-in-law is old and in poor health. If she got hurt, rumors would hurt you. I raised my voice. When they said bankruptcy. Saying I was unfilial. Why didn't they think about how the gossip would make me look? Second grandaunt, I suggest you stay out of their business. They landed themselves in this mess. They have no one else to blame. I hung up right after, not giving her another chance to play peacemaker. I knew my mother-in-law too well. If she truly had nowhere else to turn, she'd only cling to me even harder. She would never sincerely change. Sure enough, a few days later, my assistant told me. My mother-in-law ambushed Dad at work. She wanted my dad to pressure me into forgiving them. But security stopped her at the entrance. When my father found out, he had security escort her to a nearby cafe. Talked with her for half an hour. What did the old man say to her? I asked my assistant. The old man showed her copies of the evidence of my husband's embezzlement. Told her, harass you again, or cause a scene. He'd call cops, jail your husband. Assistant said. He backs your choices, she should stop. Your mother-in-law went pale after seeing the evidence. Sat there speechless for a long time, then slunk away. Probably scared out of her wits. I nodded. Dad's firm. One word, they behave. I thought after this, they'd settle down for a few days. Then word came, mother-in-law got sick. It was second grandaunt who called me. There was a hint of urgency in her voice. Niece, your mother-in-law collapsed, high blood pressure. She's at the hospital now. Away called me from the hospital crying. He can't afford bills, asked me to help. I really had no other choice, so I called you. Can you help cover the hospital costs first? I stayed silent for a few seconds. Not because I was softening, more because it felt like a hassle. If something really happened to my mother-in-law at the hospital, my husband would definitely pin it on me. He'd go around telling everyone I'm unfilial. That would look bad. How much are the hospital fees? Doctor said 5,000 yuan deposit needed. Auntie offered to transfer funds. She said she'd cover it for them. I paused for a moment. I demanded husband's IOU. Stating that this 5,000 is a loan to him, and he has to pay it back. And he also has to promise that he'll never let his mother harass me again. No scenes at Dad's work. I'll take the IOU straight to court and sue him. Fine, I'll tell him. He'll definitely agree. The great-aunt quickly agreed. After hanging up, I had my assistant transfer 5,000 yuan to her. And also had my lawyer draft an IOU template and send it over. Not long after, the great-aunt sent back a photo of the signed IOU. In the photo, my husband looked haggard. His eyes were shifty, and all his previous arrogance was gone. My assistant looked at the photo and sighed. Ma'am, if he'd just treated you right back then, he wouldn't have ended up like this. I smiled. And said nothing. Some people are just born ungrateful. They always think other people's kindness is something they're owed. Too late, they miss it. Mother-in-law out after 3 days. I heard she went straight back to her hometown after that. Too ashamed, they left. He now hauls bricks. 200/day, back aches. The great-aunt later called and told me. Fought, got fired. Lives off mom's trash income. They fight daily. and have huge blowouts every few days. Their home is total chaos. Hearing all this, I didn't feel a single ripple of emotion. They chose their own path in life, so they can deal with the consequences themselves. As for me, I've long since walked away from that miserable marriage and started a brand new life. After the company merger went through, I poured even more energy into business expansion. In just 1 month, I closed 3 major deals. The company's performance skyrocketed. My dad looked at the reports, said I'm more impressive, told me to take more charge. In my free time, I meet up with my besties for afternoon tea or hit the gym. Life is full and easy. Sometimes at night, lying in bed, I think back to that old marriage. I remember my mother-in-law's and ex-husband's faces. No more anger. No more resentment. Just a sense of release. Those who hurt me will eventually pay for what they did. And all I need to do is keep moving forward and live my best life. After my husband and mother-in-law went back to their hometown, I thought my ears would finally get some peace and quiet. But before I knew it, news about the homewrecker reached my ears first. That day, I went to the mall with my bestie. We had just walked into a skincare counter when I overheard 2 sales associates whispering. They were talking about the homewrecker. Normally, I wouldn't be interested in this kind of gossip. A red dress and huge diamond. My steps slowed. That was exactly how the homewrecker was dressed at the party. My bestie caught on too and pulled me toward the lounge area nearby. Ordered me a juice and said with a grin, "Let's listen." That's what you get for stealing someone else's husband. So satisfying. I listened as they gossiped. One associate said, "I live in the same neighborhood as her. She flaunted designer bags daily, saying her boyfriend made $30 million a year. He'd marry her rich, but soon." We saw her boyfriend in flip-flops, picking up empty water bottles at the neighborhood gate. The 2 of them were fighting like crazy downstairs. The other associate chimed in, "I heard about that too. That guy's the one who came to our mall before. His card maxed out, then failed. He fought at the register. That the guy was never some big boss. He just climbed the ladder through his wife's connections. After he got fired, he couldn't even find a job. And whatever money he had was already blown by that woman." Just then, one pointed to the door. "Isn't that him?" I looked in the direction she was pointing and saw the homewrecker, wearing a washed-out t-shirt and jeans. Her hair a mess, tied back loosely, no makeup on her face. Her complexion sallow and dull, completely unrecognizable from that dolled-up version of her before. She was clutching a promotional flyer, standing at the entrance of the counter, hesitating for a long time. In the end, she didn't dare come in. She walked to basement sales. My bestie pursed her lips. Look at her. She probably can't even afford a bottle of face wash now. She was so cocky when she stole your husband. And now look where she's ended up. I took a sip of my juice. I didn't feel anything special. Not even a sense of vindication. I didn't pity her either, she chose him. She wanted money, not love. Now that the bubble burst, she has to pay the price for her own greed. On my way home, my assistant called me. She checked the homewrecker's status. Even more pathetic than Guiyuan described. "Ma'am, she was a clothing store clerk. After getting involved with Mr., she quit her job. She wanted to be a rich wife. After you fired him." She didn't believe it at first. She thought Mr. was joking with her. It wasn't until she tried to buy a bag and swiped Mr.'s card. She froze, panicked. My assistant paused, then went on. She went to Mr. asking for money. Mr. said he didn't have a single cent. Told her to chip in. She refused. She blew up at Mr. on the spot, saying he lied to her. She even called him a con artist. The two of them fought outside the Riverview condo all afternoon, drawing a huge crowd. Mr. lost it, raised his hand to hit her, but a passing security guard stopped him. I thought about the homewrecker at the party, cooing sis. She played the can't force love card, I laughed. She didn't just walk out then and there, why didn't she leave? My assistant's voice carried a hint of amusement. That very night, while Mr. was out job hunting, she took the few thousand in cash he'd hidden in the closet and packed up all the luxury goods he'd bought her over time. Bags, jewelry, all of it, boxed up and gone. When Mr. came back and found out, he cursed her all night, called her heartless. But he didn't dare call the police. After all that stuff was bought with your supplementary card. I raised an eyebrow. This homewrecker's sharp. She knows exactly what's worth money. Didn't hesitate for a second when she grabbed and ran. So where is she now? I asked. Don't even ask. She took all those luxury goods to a pawn shop. But they told her most of it was high-end fakes, barely worth anything. Unsatisfied, she tried reselling gifts. But she'd bragged about them so much on social media. All knew you funded them. No buyers, she ran out of cash. So she went back to the clothing store to ask for her old job. Her ex-boss refused rehire, she quit boastfully. And now, she's selling clothes in the discount section of a mall basement. A monthly salary of just a few thousand. Rent's tough now. My friend listened, slapping my knee laughing, she totally had it coming. If she'd just kept her head down and done her job. She chose the latter and fell. And look how hard she fell. I didn't say anything. Something suddenly crossed my mind. At that party, the diamond ring that homewrecker was flashing around. Shiny but 2 years old. Stashed it, couldn't toss. Later, my husband secretly took it and gave it to her. The diamond was real. Just an older setting. Worth 30 grand, not treasure. Wore it daily to brag. I heard from my assistant that the homewrecker actually sold that ring. Got 20 grand for it. The second she had the cash, she paid her rent. And burned through the rest in a matter of days. But by then, her spending habits were already out of control. She used to drop a few grand on a single outfit. Cheap clothes broke her. Before long, she got into it with a coworker at the store. And the boss fired her. What's even better? She found him hauling bricks. She wanted him to help her find a job. He was drenched in sweat. The second he saw her, he thought she'd come to mock him. He grabbed a brick off the ground and nearly threw it at her. She turned and ran. Never dared show her face again. One time, I went to an industry summit. Met her in the lot. She was wearing some cheap office outfit, clutching a stack of flyers. When she saw me, her eyes flickered away. She lowered her head and scurried off, terrified I'd recognize her. I didn't speak to her. Didn't even give her a second look. Got straight into my car. As the engine started, crouched, head in hands. Crying or zoning out. She'd spotted the homewrecker at the farmer's market, wearing a grease-stained apron. Frying dough, face greasy. A far cry from the polished, put-together look she used to have. I heard she owed her landlord 3 months' rent. Sleeping in the loft. Working over 10 hours a day just to scrape by. When I heard all this, I just gave a slight nod. Downfall sealed from the start. Reaching for wealth that never belonged to her. She thought she'd found a shortcut. shortcuts end was her ruin. Is usually a cliff. That night, when I got home, I stood on the balcony, taking in the night view. My assistant said my husband quit his job. He came back to the city but found nothing. He couldn't even land a job as a delivery driver. He has a criminal record from a past fight. Now he idles at the local mahjong parlor. Losing money, he fights with his mother-in-law. His mother's health is getting worse by the day. Her recycling money can't cover her meds. I set my phone aside and didn't reply. That news doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Husband, mother-in-law, homewrecker. They're like 3 stumbling blocks on the path of my life. I used to stop and agonize over them. But once I made up my mind to kick them aside, I finally realized just how wide the road ahead really is. The next morning, I went to work energized, stepped into my office. I saw a cooperation proposal sitting on my desk. It was from a very well-known company in the industry. They came to collaborate. My assistant smiled. By now, who in this industry hasn't heard? Our company's soaring after the merger. Everyone wants to work with us. I skimmed the proposal. The corners of my lips couldn't help but curl upward. Those toxic people should have been long gone. The part of my life that belongs to me is only just beginning. Talks with that top company went smoothly. On signing day, CEO Zhang asked me to dinner. He smiled. Your father's told me about his capable daughter. I thought he bragged. But now, after working with you, you're 10 times more impressive. I raised my teacup and clinked it against his. I replied, you flatter me, teamwork and my father's lessons. That wasn't modesty. After the merger, the company needed internal restructuring. Before this, I had never officially gotten involved in the core business of the family enterprise. I'd only been practicing with my own small company. This restructuring was my chance to shine. Sorting business overlaps and personnel. My team and I pulled 3 all-nighters. The proposal alone went through at least 10 revisions. Our final plan earned my father's praise. After dinner, I returned to my office. I saw all the department managers sitting ramrod straight. There was a glint of anticipation in their eyes. Before I'd officially taken charge of them, many saw me as a privileged princess. Especially veterans loyal to my father. They still had their doubts about me. I put the contract copies on the conference table. Deal done with Mr. Zhang. I've already drafted the implementation plan. Take a look, I said, handing out the documents. Old Joe, you're in charge of coordinating with their tech department. Integrate the core technology we acquired with their platform. I want a test report within a week. Old Joe, the singled-out tech department manager, called tech ignorant and bossy. This time, he flipped through the plan for a long while. When he looked up, most of the contempt in his eyes was gone. This interface adaptation plan is very professional. More thorough than planned. No issue. Sister Wang, you handle marketing. This time, leverage their channel advantages. Get the new product's name out there. Budget up 20%, but one condition. I need to see initial results within 2 weeks. Sister Wang is a sharp, decisive woman. She always thought I was too young to hold my ground. Now she immediately pounded her chest and promised, don't worry. My team and I have already drafted 3 promotional plans. We'll ride this collaboration's momentum to push them out. Mission guaranteed. The meeting went very smoothly. When it ended, old Joe stayed behind. Sorry, I missed your talent. Your plan is truly impressive. From now on, the company's tech integration will need your guidance. I smiled and patted his shoulder. Manager Joe is a tech veteran. Let's learn from each other. It's all for the company's good. watching old Joe leave, completely convinced. Relieved, once focused on saving marriage. I never really pushed myself in my career. Now that I'm fully committed, I realize. Earning respect through my own abilities. Realer than fake in-law love. For the next 2 weeks, I practically lived at the office. First one in every morning, last one out every night. Working with tech on the integration progress and with marketing. On revising the promotional plans. Sometimes I was so busy I forgot to eat. My assistant had to bring meals to my office. Hard work pays off. 2 weeks later, the new product's market share had jumped by 3 percentage points. Online and offline reviews were glowing. My father called me into his office. He placed an appointment letter in front of me. Starting today, you are the company's vice president, overseeing daily operations. It's time for me to step back and enjoy some peace. I picked up the appointment letter, my heart both racing and at ease. This wasn't because of my father's favoritism. I earned this step by step, all on my own. This recognition made me happier than any luxury item ever could. Appointment announced, the whole company cheered. The old-timers who'd had their doubts about me before, now genuinely and wholeheartedly called me presidently. Even a few mid-level managers who'd been close with my husband rushed over to pledge their loyalty to me, saying they'd work hard from now on. I didn't hold it against them. Do their jobs well, I won't dig up the past. My career was smooth sailing. And gradually, some suitors started appearing around me. Partners, young talents, all impressive. Even friends' sons. Great on paper. No interest. I wanted career first. Until one time, at an industry summit, I met Dr. Chen. He wasn't in business. Private hospital director, Dad's old friend. He'd been invited to give a health seminar. After the summit ended, my father pulled me over to greet him. This is my daughter. Running the company. Too busy to eat. If she ever has any health issues, please help look after her. Dr. Chen smiled and extended his hand, his voice warm. I've heard great things about President Lee for a long time. Last time your company did employee physicals, you partnered with our hospital. The feedback was excellent. They said your benefits are very thorough. I shook his hand. His hand was warm. Not like my husband's used to be. Always cold. Employees are the asset. Healthy workers work well. We talked long. Management to wellness. Tactful words. Never prying into my personal life, never trying too hard to please. Just occasionally reminding me to rest. Saying he'd seen many young bosses ruin their health from pulling all-nighters. After that, he'd occasionally send me messages. Not flirty sweet talk, but reminders to bundle up when the weather changed. Or sharing simple health recipes. Once, I collapsed at the office while rushing a project. My assistant panicked and called him. He arrived within 10 minutes and personally examined me. He stayed by my side until I woke up. When I came to, I saw him sitting beside the bed, holding my thermos, filled with warm millet porridge. You just woke up. Don't drink anything too greasy. Have millet porridge. He handed it with reproach. Eat on time, no matter what. Health is everything. I took it. My heart felt warm. Back when I was with my husband, even when I had a 39-degree fever, he told me to go alone, called me dramatic. He said I cut into his plans. Dr. Chen's different. His concern isn't an act. He genuinely cares about my health. But I still didn't give him an answer. I just thanked him. He didn't push it either. He smiled and said, I know your mind is on your career right now. That's okay. I can wait. Whenever you're ready to date again, just make me your first pick. His sincere gaze I felt a flutter in my chest, but I still shook my head. Dr. Chen, thank you for your kindness. I can't handle a relationship now. He stayed calm. He just nodded and said, all right. Then let me be your friend for now. If you ever need anything, just call. From that day on, he kept sending me thoughtful messages. Occasionally he'd invite me to dinner, but he never crossed the line. I gradually got used to having him around. Whenever I was tired, chatting with him made me feel so much lighter. My assistant noticed and whispered to me, ma'am. Dr. Chen is such a good man. He's way better than your ex. Lock him down. I smiled and said nothing. But deep down, I knew it too. Dr. Chen is the kind of man worth trusting. But I didn't want to rush into a new relationship. I wanted to wait until I had completely pulled myself out of the wreckage of my previous marriage before opening my heart to someone new. What I didn't expect was that the peace wouldn't last long. A new crisis was creeping up on me. That day, I was in a senior management meeting when my assistant burst in, panicked. Clutching a newspaper, her face deathly pale. President Lee. This is bad. Your ex and his mom joined the mistress to slander you. My heart sank. I grabbed the paper and looked. Headline, Discarded Wife's Greedy Scheme. Leaving with nothing, the headline blared. Below it were photos of my ex-husband and his mother. She cried on camera, claiming I trapped him for assets. They even claimed I'd been cheating long before. And that's why I divorced him. The paper also included several evidence photos. Shots of me having dinner with Dr. Chen. Taken from twisted angles to make it look like we were intimate. Under the photos, it read, President Lee has a new man. Coldly dumps the has-been wife. The room froze. Everyone stared at me, worry in their eyes. I took a deep breath and tossed the paper onto the table. Looks like some people have too much time trying to stir up trouble for me. This crisis came out of nowhere. But I knew there was no hiding from it. I had to face it head on. The room's tension was knife-thick. Several senior employees' faces went pale. Scandals like this are disastrous for a company's reputation. If we mishandle it, the deals we just closed could fall apart. Old Joe spoke first, clearly anxious. Ms. Lee, this paper's lying. We must clarify now. Or the suppliers will be calling by tomorrow. I raised a hand to silence the room, tapping my fingers on the table. Panic? This is exactly when we keep our cool. This paper's circulation isn't huge, but someone's deliberately pushing it online. We do two things. Wang Jia, issue an official statement now. Say this is pure fabrication. Legal action reserved. Second, assistant. Look into this newspaper's background. And the reporter who wrote the story. Find out who paid them to run it. The words barely left my mouth when my phone rang. It was our partner, President Zhang. I picked up. His voice came through, heavy with concern. Lee. I saw the paper. I need you to give me a straight answer. If true, we may pause our partnership. President Zhang, rest assured. My tone was firm. This is my ex-husband spreading lies out of spite. I have full proof of his theft and affairs. I'm holding a press conference this afternoon. I'd appreciate it if you could send a representative to observe. Zhang paused, convinced. Fine. I trust you. I'll send someone from legal. If you need anything, just say the word. After hanging up, I swept my eyes across the room. Everyone, get back to work. Don't let this nonsense slow you down. Press conference at 3 p.m. Feel free to attend if you want. Might as well show everyone that this company is not some pushover. After the meeting, I returned to my office. My assistant had already dug up most of the dirt on that paper. Ma'am, it's a small tabloid. They've been sued twice before for defamation. The reporter this time is named Lu San. He met your husband at a tea house last Saturday. I pulled the tea house's security footage. Your husband handed him a manila envelope. Probably cash. I let out a cold laugh, picking up the photo from my desk. In it, Dr. Chen and I sat in the corner of a restaurant. Actually, he just brought my stomach medicine. That photo made us look clingy, though we sat apart. Gotta say, whoever took this has some serious photography skills. Did we find out who took it? Yes, we did. It was the homewrecker's distant cousin. He used to work security at our company entrance. After he got fired, he's held a grudge since. The assistant gave me a screenshot. That's him hiding in the alley, taking the shot. He camped out there the whole afternoon just to get this one angle. Just then, Dr. Chen's call came in. There was a hint of worry in his voice. I saw the news online. Don't panic. If you need me to come forward and clear things up, I can come anytime. You don't need to be involved. I softened. This has nothing to do with you. I don't want to drag you into it. Just focus on work. I'll fill you in tonight. After I hung up, the assistant suddenly remembered something. Oh, ma'am, Auntie Zhang, your mother-in-law's old cleaner, messaged me this morning saying, days ago, dropping off old clothes for her. She overheard your husband and his mother scheming inside. They plan to ruin your name to block your VP bid. And the homewrecker promised to help find reporters. Her condition? That your husband buy back the diamond ring he'd gifted her. I pieced all these clues together, and everything clicked. So these three formed their own little Avengers squad. Too bad none of them have a brain between them. Their lie was full of holes. At 2:30 p.m., the conference room downstairs was packed with reporters. Cameras and mics everywhere. The moment I walked in, I saw my husband, his mother, and the mistress up front. All three dressed in faded, washed-out clothes. Cheap makeup on, playing victims loudly. Seeing me, my mother-in-law wailed, "Everyone, look. This black-hearted woman has left us with nothing to eat, and that's still not enough for her. Now she'll ruin us." My husband slammed the table. 5 years married, she never did her duty. She used my father's ties to climb, then dumped me. And framed me for theft. The mistress sobbed, whispering, "I never meant to break them up." He told me he and his wife had lost feelings for each other long ago. I'm a victim here too. The reporters swarmed forward instantly. Cameras flashing non-stop. I let them put on their little show. Then I raised my hand and signaled the assistant to kill the lights. The projector screen on the wall lit up. First thing on display, my husband's salary records and the embezzlement transfers. Every misappropriated cent was clearly marked, with bank-stamped documentation attached. Everyone, take a good look. I pointed at the screen, my voice booming through the mic. The so-called 30 million annual salary of my ex-husband was special treatment from my father's company. But during his 3 years on the job, he embezzled 2.73 million. 1.8 million of that went to buying luxury goods for his homewrecker. Here are the mall purchase records and receipts. All charges hit my card. Husband froze. He pointed at me. You fabricated evidence. Is this forged? Let the auditors come and verify it, then we'll know. I didn't waste another word on him. I clicked the remote. The screen switched to the surveillance footage from the cafe. My husband handing the manila envelope to the reporter. Lusan's face was crystal clear. Next to it was the bank transfer record. My mother-in-law paid Lusan from pawning the bracelet. Then came the audio recording of the housekeeper, Auntie Zhang. Her line about destroying his reputation was loud and clear. Footage showed mistress fleeing with his cash and goods, along with the recording of her conversation at the pawnshop, when she was selling the diamond ring. That fool gave me this ring. Charged on wife's card. Sell it fast. Room went silent. Cameras flashed again. This time, all aimed at the three of them, frozen and pale. My mother-in-law tried to throw a fit. But pre-called guards blocked her. My husband tried to grab the remote. The second he stood up, legal had him pinned down. The homewrecker cried even harder, but no one believed her anymore. One female reporter actually asked her directly, "Miss, you knew he had a wife, and you still stayed with him. Spending another woman's money on luxury goods. And now you have the nerve to call yourself the victim?" I waited for the room to settle a little, then picked up the mic. Press, after my ex was fired for theft. He tried to extort me multiple times. When that failed, he joined my ex-in-law and mistress to smear me. I've already submitted all relevant evidence to the police. We'll sue the defamers and the paper. Additionally, my company's operations are completely unaffected. Thank you all for your attention. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, my husband's furious roar echoed. "Likonka, you'll pay for this." I didn't slow down. All I felt was contempt. When he was on top of the world? Did he see this coming? I left. The legal rep sent by Mr. Zhang came up to me. Smiling, giving thumbs up. Brilliant. Mr. Zhang says the cooperation continues. We can even deepen our partnership going forward. Back in my office, not long after, my assistant reported that the newspaper had already issued an apology and fired Lusan. The rumors online got cleared up too. A bunch of netizens dug up my husband's past embarrassments. They called him a freeloader who bites the hand that feeds. The suppliers all got calls too. They said they trust the company's reputation. By evening, Dr. Chen came to the office to pick me up. He took me to a light vegetarian place. Just put tofu on my plate. Eat light, settle your stomach. I chewed the tofu and suddenly felt a sting behind my eyes. He hid, made me take the hits. But now, Dr. Chen's concern didn't have a single wasted word. Yet it worked better than any comfort. Thank you. If you hadn't brought medicine first, I'd have held on. Dr. Chen put down his chopsticks, his eyes serious. Don't shoulder it all alone. Your body is yours. He paused. Then added, if anyone ever dares to bully you again, I'll face it with you. I looked up at him. The warmth in his eyes was like soft light, scattering the last bits of resentment in my heart. I nodded, went home that night. My assistant messaged me saying, in-laws cornered by reporters. Excuses backfired, dragged away. Her blood pressure spiked, rushed to hospital. But this time, no one was there to cover their hospital bill. The hospital's calling for payment. I tossed my phone aside, leaned back on the couch and looked at the moon through the window. This crisis didn't break me. It made the company's reputation stronger. Now everyone knows. Decisive boss, no pushover. Even a few new clients reached out on their own to talk business. I finally realized sometimes a crisis is actually an opportunity. It shows you who the people around you really are. And it shows you your own strength. I used to obsess over keeping up a peaceful facade. But now I know, compared to swallowing every insult, standing tall and fighting back is the only way to truly live. The next day at the office, the moment I walked into the workspace, I heard cheers from the staff. Turns out, Sister Wang's team seized the buzz and launched a women's independence-themed campaign. Orders for the new product literally doubled. Old Joe turned disaster into blessing. Our brand image is more solid than ever. I smiled and nodded. New thought, this opened my eyes. There must be plenty of other women like my old self, suffering in their marriages but too scared to fight back. Maybe I could do something to help them. Once that thought hit me, I couldn't shake it. The next morning, I called my core team into the conference room. I laid out my idea to support women in crisis through charity work. I'd barely finished when Sister Wang slammed the table in approval. Bossly, I fully support this. My cousin's back home. Her husband beat her, but she was too scared to divorce him. It nearly killed her. If someone had stepped in sooner, she wouldn't have suffered so much. Old Joe nodded too. The tech team can build an online counseling platform. Shamed women can seek help anonymously. I'll lead the overtime push myself. The team's enthusiasm surprised me. That same afternoon, my assistant got in touch with the head of a local women's charity. Sister Zhang was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s. She was blunt. Bossly, not raining on your parade. This work is brutal. Some women have been gaslighted for so long. You try to help them and they turn around and defend their husbands. In-laws sometimes accuse us of breaking families. I poured her a cup of tea. Sister Zhang, I've thought about all that. Not just money, resources too. Our legal team can offer them free legal consultations. Marketing can run job training programs. Tech builds the online platform. We're not doing this for show. We'll truly help these women. Sister Zhang's eyes shone. She pulled a thick stack of files from her bag. That's wonderful. I actually have a young woman right now. She's 23. Just had a baby, and her husband kicked her out. He also ran off with all her dowry money. Now she's living under a bridge with her newborn. If you can help her find a job, she can start living again. I told my assistant to go pick up the girl immediately. Meanwhile, I ironed out the partnership details with Sister Zhang. We established a dedicated fund for women's empowerment. The first investment, $2 million. Helping women facing abuse, cheating, or job loss. Providing legal aid, psychological counseling, and job training. A little after 4, my assistant brought the girl into my office. Her floral dress was faded, pattern washed out. In her arms she held a bundled baby, sleeping peacefully. But her own eyes were sunken, her cheekbones jutting out. Clearly starving and sleep-deprived for long. When she saw me, her hands were trembling with nerves. Bossly, I can't do much. I have a baby. Take it easy. Warm milk. Drink up. Our company cafeteria is hiring kitchen help. Room and board included. You can also bring the baby to the staff lounge. Aunties can watch her. Pay, $4,000 monthly. That's enough for you and your child. If you want to learn new skills, free e-commerce training, live stream selling later. She could earn even more. Tears streamed down her face. She hugged her child, bowed, and thanked me. We wouldn't have lasted. I helped her up. My heart ached. When I suffered in my marriage before, at least I had family to fall back on. But these girls don't even have that safety net. Then I was sure, this charity was worth it. It had to be done right. But before I could even hang up the charity foundation sign, trouble came knocking. Friday afternoon. Suddenly, commotion downstairs. My assistant rushed in. CEO Lee, your husband and mother-in-law are here with relatives. They're holding signs saying you're heartless and greedy. They claim you're embezzling funds for charity. I walked to the window to take a look. Good God. 7 or 8 people blocking the main entrance. My mother-in-law held a beat-up sign with red scrawls. Heartless Bossly Kong, sir. My husband shouted loudly beside her. Several clueless passers-by were even taking photos. Wang Jie flushed. How can they be so shameless? What does our charity work have to do with them? Don't panic. I picked up my phone and called Officer Liu from the local precinct. After the last press conference, Officer Liu told me, if they cause trouble, come to him. I hung up. I told my assistant, let security stand down. Capture everything clearly. Especially any pushing. Within 10 minutes. The police car arrived. Officer Liu stepped out. My husband cried victim. Officer. She embezzled funds. She's driving us out. Officer Liu ignored him. He first had his men pull the crowd away from the entrance. Then walked up to me. CEO Lee. We've already opened a case on your defamation evidence. This time, they're suspected of disrupting business operations. We'll bring them in for questioning. Hearing that, my mother-in-law heard that. She dropped to the ground, wailing. I'm not going. If she doesn't give my son his job back, I'll die right here. At that moment, the young mother I'd helped earlier. She ran out from the cafeteria, holding her child, facing my mother-in-law. Ma'am, CEO Lee is not a bad person. She gave me a job, so my child and I could have food to eat. She even helped me find a lawyer to get my dowry back. How can you slander her like this? The surrounding crowd heard this and murmured, so she was actually helping? That old woman doesn't look like a good person anyway. And that man just now was yelling about wanting his job back. Probably got himself fired for his own screw-ups. My mother-in-law paled, scrambled up to curse at her. We were stopped by Officer Liu and told to come with them. They said talk at the station, watching them get taken away. Wang sighed in relief, lucky that girl spoke up. Otherwise we'd have been fooled. I smiled, shaking my head. Not luck, but heart for heart. We do real work. Naturally people will speak up for us. That evening, Dr. Chen asked me to dinner. As soon as we sat down, he handed me a list. I contacted a few friends who do psychological intervention. All free. The women in your charity projects. If they need counseling, just connect them directly. Warmth filled my heart as I took the list. How did you know I needed this? Sister Zhang told me. She put a rib on my plate. She said you want to help domestic violence victims. Just giving jobs isn't enough, trauma needs healing. Oh, I also talked to a few kindergartens. If the women's kids have no one to watch them, they can take them free, all reliable public ones. I looked at his gentle profile and felt a corner of my heart being filled. With my ex-husband, I had to handle everything alone. Even going to the hospital by myself when sick. But with Dr. Chen, he always anticipates what I need. Not with sweet talk, but with real actions. Dr. Chen, I put down my chopsticks, looking at him seriously. I used to think after one failed marriage, I'd never dare date again. But spending time with you, I feel maybe I can try again. His eyes lit up. He gently covered my hand. The warmth was just right. I've waited for those words. No rush, we'll take it slow. I'll be with you in the days ahead. The charity project progressed smoothly. In the first month of the online platform, we received over 300 requests for help. 2 rounds of job training were held. Over 50 women found employment. That girl who lived under the bridge now works well in the cafeteria. She also signed up for e-commerce training and now streams live, selling the company's new products. But my ex-husband and mother-in-law hadn't settled down. Soon after, Officer Liu called me, saying they were restless in the detention center, telling other inmates they'd take revenge on me, even inciting an inmate to escape, caught by guards. Their sentences were extended. My assistant was furious, saying, a leopard can't change its spots. Even now, they still plot to harm others. I was reviewing the employment feedback forms of the helped women. There was this note from one of the women. She wrote that she used to feel completely worthless. She earns her own keep now. Reading that, I smiled. Let them scheme, they'll fall harder. Focus on what truly matters. That afternoon, I attended the job training graduation ceremony. Watching those women, who once had such dim, hopeless eyes, now dressed in crisp uniforms, confidently talking about their new jobs, it hit me. True joy isn't crushing foes. It's lighting up others' lives. A grounded pride from within. After the ceremony ended, the bridge woman came, child in arms. Clean-clad kid beamed toothlessly. She handed me a cloth bundle. Inside was a pair of cloth shoes embroidered with lotus flowers. Ms. Lee, I stitched these overnight. They're not worth much. Just a little token of my gratitude. I can support my child now. And one day, I want to be just like you. Helping even more people. I took the shoes, stitched with heart. Sunset streamed on girl and child. Warm, bright, I knew then. I chose right. And those villains still thrashing in the mud? They no longer deserve to appear anywhere in my life. When I got home carrying those lotus-embroidered cloth shoes, Dr. Chen was already waiting downstairs. He was holding a thermal container. When he saw me approach, he naturally took the bag from my hands. I figured you've been too busy to eat. I made some pork rib soup. Added corn and carrots. It's fragrant. I followed him upstairs. I carefully placed the cloth shoes on the cabinet by the entryway. He noticed and smiled. A gift from the woman who graduated today? The bridge woman works at the canteen. She trained, now streams online. She sold over 200 yuan worth of stuff. Rib soup aroma warmed my soul. Dr. Chen sat beside me and handed me a spoon. I spoke with the president of the City Psychology Association. They're willing to send 10 volunteers. They'll come to our charity hub every week to provide counseling for the women we're helping. Starting Monday, I'll bring them over to get familiar with everything. I scooped up a spoonful of soup. My heart felt completely at ease. Charity's not just extra, I see. It calms souls, warms not just them. It warms yourself too. Ma'am, the police station sent this over. Your husband and mother-in-law got 6 months in detention. Charges, business disruption, defamation. The homewrecker was fined 2,000 for her part in spreading rumors. And that distant cousin of his is suing him too. Says he was tricked into taking those photos and never got paid. Right now they're going at each other's throats at the station. I flipped through the file without much reaction. Just said, got it. They definitely can't afford those fines. Tell the station not to come looking for me to cover it. Also, Auntie, his mom's BP spiking. Transfer 2,000 from my personal account. Have the detention center doctor keep an eye on her. And have the lawyer draft an IOU. It's a loan, not a gift. My assistant paused. Ma'am, you're still lending them money? He's rotten, not death-worthy. I leaned back and stared at the plane trees outside the window. I'm not forgiving him. I'm freeing myself. Constantly replaying what he did only exhausts me. He's in there paying for it now. He's learned his lesson. This money just closes the last chapter between us. My assistant nodded and left to handle it. Barely 2 minutes later, old Joe burst in, thrilled. Ms. Lee, our online counseling platform is blowing up. Live a week, 1,000 plus requests. Our legal and psych volunteers can't keep up. Lots of companies are reaching out to donate money and supplies. I followed him to the tech department. The back-end data on the screen was ticking up in real time. Red pending cases dropping fast. Green resolved cases climbing higher. Old Joe pointed at a piece of feedback. This woman was abused by her husband for 10 years. She consulted on the platform yesterday. Our legal team drafted her divorce papers. She filed it at civil office this AM. Also filed for a restraining order. She just messaged us saying she's staying with relatives, kids in tow. For the first time, she can finally sleep through the night. Just then, Sister Wang pushed the door open. Behind her was a familiar face. Adhere. She wore a new blue cloth shirt, carrying a basket of eggs. She blushed, shoved eggs at me. Niece-in-law, I was foolish before. I believed Away's lies, fought you. These eggs are from my own hens. Please don't turn them away. I didn't take the eggs. I smiled and gestured for her to sit. Adhere, let's leave the past where it belongs. What brings you here today? I'm here to ask for your help. Adhere wrung her hands. It's my neighbor's daughter-in-law. Husband conned her into debt. Husband fled, thugs bang daily. She's got 2 kids and she's barely hanging on. I heard you help people here, so I brought her straight over. Sister Wang chimed in, I've already talked to her. Loan interest breaks the law. Our legal team can help her fight it. We can also get her an assembly line job. Room and board included. I had my assistant bring the woman in. Then I said to Auntie, take the eggs home for the kids. Helping is the least I can do. No gifts needed. If you ever come across other women in trouble, bring them here. We'll take them all. Auntie's eyes went red. She slapped her thigh and said, God, I was so blind. Riches don't rule your heart. Away and his mother getting what they got, they had it coming. That afternoon, Dr. Chen and I went to the cafeteria together. Bridge girl fed the kids. Her baby sat in a stroller beside her. In a little pink dress, giggling away. She wiped her hands quickly when she saw us walk in. Miss Lee, Dr. Chen, you're here. I did a live stream yesterday selling our company snacks. Made over 800 yuan. Dr. Chen crouched down to play with the baby. That's amazing. If you ever want to rent a place, I know a landlord. Cheap rent and close to the office. The girl kept thanking him. Her eyes were glowing. I watched her busy figure. And suddenly remembered the first time I met her. Standing in my office holding her baby, shaking like a leaf. Barely a month later, she's a completely different person. There's life in her eyes now. Her back is straight. When we left the cafeteria, the sunset was slowly sinking, painting the sky a warm golden orange. Dr. Chen held my hand as we walked toward the parking lot. You know, I went to the hospital today. A bunch of nurses told me. They want to join your charity project too. Volunteer on weekends. I leaned on his shoulder. A deep calm settled over me. I used to think satisfaction meant grinding the people who wronged you into the dirt, laughing in their faces while they lay broken and humiliated. But now I understand real satisfaction is watching yourself pull someone out of the mud with your own 2 hands. Watching them go from hopeless to hopeful. Hearing that one heartfelt thank you. Back at the company, plenty of people were still working overtime. Old Joe had the tech team optimizing the consulting platform. Sister Wang was training the newly hired women. The legal team was organizing case files. When they saw me, all smiled with respect. My assistant handed over a report that read, Income and expenditure for the Women's Empowerment Fund. Ma'am, 23 companies donated this month. Including our own company's contribution, the fund now has 5 million. 127 women have received support. 87 of them found jobs. 34 successfully divorced and won custody. Flipping through the report, I suddenly remembered the party where my husband bragged about his 30 million annual salary. Back then, he believed money could buy everything. Could make him superior. But he didn't know. Real wealth was never about the numbers in a bank account. It's about how many people you can help, how much hope you can bring. On couch, I saw news. Husband fought in-laws. She was shoved to the ground and hit her head. The comments below were all they deserve it and karma's a bitch. Before, I might have felt vindicated. Now, it just felt boring. I tossed my phone aside and gazed at the stars outside the window. Dr. Chen walked over with a cup of warm milk, sat beside me. What's on your mind? Just thinking about how I used to be tangled up in all that mess. Wasted so much time. I took the milk. Now I finally know how good it feels to spend time on things that matter. He stroked my head, his voice gentle. I'll do good with you. My heart completely at peace. Those people and things that once made me angry and wronged are like clouds in the sky, gone with a gust of wind. No more pleasing them. I'm CEO now, running a company, helping a whole community. Once your perspective expands, your world grows with it. The grudges I once obsessed over now seem like tiny pebbles on the road of life. Just kick them aside. No need to look back. What truly matters now is the person in front of me, the career in my hands, and all those hopes waiting to be ignited. The next morning, got abuse photos. She was flying a kite in the park with her child, both smiling like flowers. Below the photo, she wrote, CEO Lee. Thank you. I finally feel alive again. I forwarded the photo to the team group chat with a caption, "This is why we do this work." The chat exploded instantly. A wall of keep going. And let's keep at it. I smiled and put down my phone. Sunlight streamed through the window as I began the day's work. Landed on the craft feedback form on my desk. Every resolved mark glowed with a warm light. Early autumn came, project ran smoothly. Company soared, Dad finally smiled. Now when people in the industry mention CEO Lee, think, female charity lead, rising star. They've long left behind labels like so-and-so's daughter, or so-and-so's ex-wife. That day, I was discussing with Dr. Chen whether to add a single mother entrepreneurship support program to the charity project, when my assistant suddenly rushed in, holding an envelope. Ma'am, a letter from your mother-in-law. And there's a number for lawyer Zhang. He said your husband and mother-in-law got out today. They blocked the door. I opened it. Messy handwriting, tearful lines, saying how much she suffered inside, begging by our old bond to find my husband a job and give them some money to get by. At the end she even added, if you don't help, we'll riot at the hub, shame those women. See your true colors. Dr. Chen frowned and said, let me go with you. Don't let them hurt you. I shook my head and handed the letter to my assistant. No need. Have security take them to the cafe next door. I'll talk to them one last time. Tell the lawyer to bring all the previous IOUs and the repayment agreement for my husband's embezzlement. Let's settle everything today. Inside the cafe, my husband and mother-in-law sat in the farthest corner, both wearing old clothes issued by the detention center. Hair grayed, her back hunched. When they saw me walk in, the old arrogance was gone. They fidgeted, he feigned toughness. Neck strained, we seek justice, not charity. You destroyed my career and made me sit in jail for 6 months. You owe me compensation. Compensate you? I put the IOUs and repayment agreement on the table. You stole 2.73 M, I spared you jail. I've already been more than generous. Those 6 months in detention were payback for your slander and business interference, not my doing. This is what you and your mother owe me, 7,000 total. Plus the 5,000 I spent on your mother's medical treatment. That's 12,000 altogether. Either you write up a repayment plan, or we go to court right now and file for forced seizure of your assets. My husband's face collapsed instantly. What assets do I have left? I don't even have a place to live. How am I supposed to pay you back? That's your problem, not mine. I took a sip of coffee. As for work, I can point you in a direction. Our site needs brick haulers. 200 a day. Meals and lodging included. If you're willing, you can start tomorrow. If not, don't come looking for me again. My mother-in-law tugged my husband's sleeve, forced a smile, and said he'd do it. He'll do it. Way, hurry up and thank President Lee. But my husband shook off her hand and slammed the table. I was a manager once. How can I haul bricks? You're doing this to humiliate me on purpose, I'm telling you. If you don't get me an office job, I'll cause a scene at that charity hub. Let those women know. What a two-faced hypocrite you really are. I set down my coffee cup. My eyes went cold. You're welcome to try. Just last week, a woman we helped divorced her abusive husband. She volunteers there now. When her husband caused trouble, over 20 women from our program surrounded him and tore him apart. Security eventually hauled him off to the police station. If you're not afraid of being drowned in their spit, be my guest. My husband's face flushed pale to purple. He tried to speak. The cafe door suddenly swung open. Several men in black walked in and headed straight for our table. The leader clapped my husband on the shoulder. Manager Wong. Long time no see. You owe us 500,000. Time to pay up. My husband trembled violently, his face deathly pale. I never borrowed money from you people. You've got the wrong guy. Wrong guy? The man slapped an IOU onto the table, with my husband's signature and fingerprint on it. 3 years ago, you embezzled funds to gamble on stocks and lost it all. So you borrowed 500,000 from our boss. With interest, it's rolled to nearly $1 million by now. We searched 6 months. Didn't expect you locked up inside. Now that we've run into you, come with us. Either pay up, or come work it off at our construction site. With that, 2 men grabbed my husband and started dragging him out. My mother-in-law threw herself at them, sobbing. Let him go. He's broke, but I'm not. Yet her weak frame couldn't stop them. She watched her son get dragged away. I saw the whole farce. I felt nothing. I simply said to her flatly, that's the loan shark debt he took on for his stock gambling. It has nothing to do with me. If you still want to clean up after him, then use your pension to pay off his debt. If not, go back home and live your own life. Don't come looking for me again. She collapsed into the chair, tears and snot streaming down her face. How did I raise such a monster? I didn't spare her another glance. I got up and left the cafe. Just as I reached the door, I saw Second Aunt and a few elderly women were standing nearby. 2 of them were women receiving aid from the charity hub. Second Aunt saw me come out and rushed over. Niece-in-law. We all saw it. He brought this on himself. It's none of your business. We've already agreed with the people in the neighborhood. If he shows up causing trouble again, we'll hold him off for you. One of the women who'd received help also said, Ms. Lee. Rest assured, we've all benefited from your kindness. We won't let him destroy your charity project. Those loan sharks just now. We secretly took photos. If they dare mess with you, we'll call the police. I smiled and nodded. My heart felt warm. I used to think people were ruthless. Now I know. When you treat people well, it's more powerful than any revenge. Soon after I returned to the office, my assistant messaged me. Ma'am, my husband was pulled to work at the construction site by loan sharks. He's working 12 hours a day and still not getting enough to eat. I was so tired and fainted after hearing it. Your mother-in-law has gone back to her hometown. She sold back the gold bracelet you once gave her and paid off some of your husband's interest. Now she survives by collecting scrap. I didn't reply. I went on discussing the entrepreneurship support plan with Dr. Chen. We'd just finished when Sister Wang burst in excitedly. Ms. Lee. Great news. That homewrecker got arrested. Turns out, after she got out of detention, she couldn't find a job. So she and that distant cousin of hers took the counterfeit luxury goods they'd swindled from your husband and sold them as authentic. Scammed people out of tens of thousands. The buyer realized they were fake and called the police. The cops followed the trail and discovered she'd ripped off several other men before. Now she's been sentenced to a year for fraud and fined 50,000. Honestly, it couldn't be more satisfying. The two of them turned on each other at the station, exposing all of each other's dirty secrets. It's honestly laughable. I smiled and shook my head. I picked up the charity project report. It said over 300 women had found jobs through our program. Over 50 domestic abuse survivors had successfully divorced and won custody. Another 20 plus single mothers started his own small business selling manual open shop, living full, vibrant lives. That evening, Dr. Chen took me to the charity hub. The courtyard was brightly lit. A dozen or so women were learning to make handmade soap. Kids were playing on the small playground nearby. Several volunteers took them to play games and laugh one after another. The girl who'd lived under the bridge. She's now the leader of the handmade soap group. He hands me a freshly made rose soap. Ms. Lee, I made this one myself. Try it. I'm planning to open an online shop next week. I'll rent a place for Mom once I earn. I take the soap, breathing in the faint rose scent. And all I feel is a deep sense of peace. Dr. Chen wraps his arms around my waist from behind. His voice soft in my ear. Look at this. You did something that actually matters. I lean back into his arms. Watching the crowd, I recall that party. The way my husband bragged about his $3 million salary. The way my mother-in-law mocked me for going broke. The way that homewrecker played her little innocent act to provoke me. All those moments that once filled me with rage and humiliation. Now they're nothing but a joke. Everything they fought so desperately for, money, status, face, is nothing but smoke and mirrors. But what I have now? A real career. A man who truly loves me. And those grateful to me. My assistant sends a photo, my husband hauling cement. Dressed in filthy work clothes, bent under bags of cement. Back bent 90 degrees, filthy and sweating. Every trace of his old arrogance, gone. Caption, if he dodges the loan sharks, they'll break his legs. I delete the photo. I don't reply. It's not that I'm heartless. He paved this road to ruin himself. From the moment he chose embezzlement. From the moment he brought his mistress into our home. From the moment he started spreading lies to destroy me. His fate was already sealed. True collapse is never about someone else pushing you off the cliff. You blocked every escape. That night, Dr. Chen and I stayed at the charity hub until late. Watching the last woman leave with her child. Watching the volunteers pack up the space, I felt nothing but peace. At the third branch's dawn opening, I arrived with my team. Right at the entrance, I saw a crowd of familiar faces. The woman who used to live under the bridge was there with her child, holding a brand new thermal container in her hands. A domestic abuse survivor brought a banner, embroidered with the words, "Igniting Hope," a debt of gratitude, and more than a dozen other women we'd helped stood there clutching homegrown vegetables and hand-stitched insoles. Crowding at the gate. Ms. Lee, we've been here forever. The bridge woman handed me a thermos. Made millet porridge at 5 a.m., with dates. Try it. I've got my own place now. And I've hired 2 sisters to help me make the soap. Last month, I made over 8,000. I brought my mom over too. Family reunited at last, sipped porridge. When I spotted Dr. Chen walking over with a medical kit, he knew I skipped breakfast, brought glucose meter. He'd check my blood sugar once things settled down. Last checkup showed my blood sugar runs a little low. The women around us immediately started teasing. Dr. Chen treats Bosley so well. When are you two tying the knot? My face went red, and I was about to speak. Sister Wang ran over with certificate. Bosley, we won Gold Award for Women-Friendly Workplace. The presenter said. Our charity program was the biggest highlight this year. They want you to share your experience at the industry conference. The crowd instantly burst into cheers. Even the neighbors who'd been watching started clapping along. Lively scene made my eyes burn. Exactly 1 year ago today, I was still being humiliated at my in-laws' family gathering. Now, I'm surrounded by people who truly care about me. Career solid, heart warm. At noon, I joined everyone for a simple meal at the charity hub. All home-cooked dishes made by the women we've helped. Braised pork ribs, stir-fried greens, steamed buns. It tasted better than any fancy delicacy. Dr. Chin kept putting food on my plate the whole time. He even quietly picked the scallions out of my bowl. He knows I don't like scallions. He remembered that for 3 months. Back at office, my dad called. His voice brimming with excitement he couldn't hide. "Sweetheart, come home for dinner tonight. Tell Dr. Chen to come too. We've got good news to share." I hung up, and Dr. Chen happened to walk in from outside. He was holding a small, elegantly wrapped box. "Checked your sugar, you're low on vitamins. Got you a bottle of multivitamins. Remember to take them after meals. Oh, by the way, your dad called me just now. He wants us both for dinner. Home that evening." On the dining room table, there were my favorites, sweet and sour fish and braised pork belly. Dad was sitting on the sofa, holding a purple clay teapot. He smiled and waved us over when he saw us come in. "Dr. Chen, come sit. Let me tell you. That blood pressure medication you prescribed has worked wonders. It works even better than what the hospital gave me." Dr. Chen walked over and sat down, pulling a blood pressure monitor from his bag. "Let me check you again, uncle. The weather's cooling down lately. Blood pressure tends to fluctuate." Them so at ease, my heart felt full. My ex-husband always avoided my dad whenever he came over. Or he'd just push my dad for a promotion or a raise. He never genuinely cared about my dad's health. But Dr. Chen is different. He checks my dad's vitals and plays chess with him every visit. They just chat about everyday things, heart to heart. After dinner, Dad called us into his study. He pulled out something wrapped in red cloth from the drawer and handed it to Dr. Chen. "This is the jade bracelet I bought for my wife when I was young. Now I'm passing it to you. I know you're a solid man. I'd trust you with my girl." Dr. Chen paused. He quickly stood up. "Sir, this is too precious. I can't accept it." "Take it." Dad pushed the bracelet into his hands. "This isn't for you. It's for my future daughter-in-law. My girl has suffered enough in her life. You'd better treat her right. If I ever find out you've hurt her, I won't let you off." Dr. Chen gripped the bracelet and turned to look at me. His eyes were dead serious. "I'll never let her suffer again." He walked up to me and slowly knelt on one knee, holding the bracelet up in front of me. "I know you've been hurt in your past marriage, so I didn't want to rush you. But over these past 6 months, watching you fight for charity and care for everyone around you, it convinced me you're the one I want forever. I don't have some grand, earth-shattering promise. All I can say is, your career has my full support. Your cause becomes mine, and I'll be there through every up and down. Will you marry me?" I looked into the sincerity in his eyes. I remembered all those late nights he brought me stomach medicine. His patience at charity hubs checking on the women we helped. And when I was being slandered, he quietly gathered evidence to clear my name. Tears fell before I could stop them. I nodded. Yes. Dr. Chen gently slid the jade bracelet onto my wrist. It fit perfectly. He stood up and wrapped his arms around me softly. "I've got you now." I leaned into his chest, breathing in the faint scent of disinfectant on him. And suddenly, I felt completely at peace. I used to think happiness was flaunting a 30 million salary, or being decked out in luxury brands. Now I finally understand. Happiness is a glass of warm water handed to you when you're sick, a warm hug when you're exhausted, and a pair of eyes that support you always. Next morning at the office, my assistant rushed in with a document, beaming ear to ear. "Ma'am, Dr. Chen is beyond thoughtful. He donated one of his vacant properties To our charity project. It's being converted into temporary housing for single mothers. He even reached out to colleagues at his hospital. He comes weekly for free mom checkups. I took the document. It said donation agreement on the top. Dr. Chen's signature was neat and firm. I was about to call him when I saw his message. I've already ordered the furniture for the temporary shelter. All eco-friendly materials. I didn't want the kids having allergies. Let's go check it out together this weekend. When we got to the shelter that weekend, several single moms were tidying up the rooms. The walls were covered with the kids' drawings. On the windowsill sat succulents grown by the women we helped. The woman who'd survived domestic abuse smiled and said, "Miss Lee, Dr. Chen is such a good man. When he came by yesterday, he even installed corner guards in every room. Said he didn't want the little ones getting hurt." Dr. Chen was crouched on the floor, assembling a toy cabinet for a little boy. The kid clung to his leg, calling him Uncle Chen over and over. Sunlight streamed through the window, falling on them both. It was almost too bright to look at. After we left the shelter, Dr. Chen held my hand. As we walked slowly beneath the sycamore trees along the road, "I've requested a shift change at the hospital. From now on, every Wednesday afternoon I'm with you at work. Mom called yesterday," she said. "She'd love to have you over for dinner. Her braised pork is amazing." I smiled and nodded. "Sure. I'll bring some handmade soap from our craft hub. The moms made it, all natural. So it's safe for your mom to use." Life went on at its own unhurried pace. The business kept growing. We opened a branch office at Lin Corp. Sister Wang was promoted to branch manager. Before leaving, she hugged me, crying, "Ms. Lee, without you, I'd still be doing grunt work in marketing. Don't worry, I'll make sure that branch runs perfectly. And I'll open a charity hub there too." Old Joe led the tech team to develop a new charity mini-program. It offered online consultations and directly connected users to job openings. In its first month, it helped over 200 women find work. When he showed me the back-end data, his eyes were shining. "Ms. Lee, our mini-program got praised by the Civil Affairs Bureau. They want to promote it citywide." Good news kept pouring in from the women we'd helped. The bridge girl opened her own handmade soap shop online. Monthly sales hit 100K. The domestic abuse survivor got into an adult college program with her kid. She's studying social work. Said they'd return as volunteers, plus one auntie. Opened a noodle shop with our startup fund. Hired 3 aided sisters, thriving business. Chen and I set the wedding for next spring. No big fuss, just family and team. Plus a dozen female beneficiaries. Ceremony at the charity center's yard. Decorated by the sisters themselves. Hand-stitched happiness signs on walls. Homemade pastries and soap on tables. Wedding favors on the day. The bridge girl came with her baby as flower girl. The little one clutched a bouquet of handmade flowers, walked to me. In a tiny voice, "Lee, happy wedding. I'll be strong like you someday." I knelt and patted her head. "You will." Dr. Chen took my hand, gently squeezing it. Sunlight bathed us all. Laughter and blessings around. I recalled the humiliating in-law dinner a year ago. Back then, I never imagined escaping that quagmire. Becoming who I am now. That night, Dr. Chen sat with me on the bench. Holding warm milk. "Tired?" "With honey, just for you." I leaned on him, stargazing. I used to think wealth defined success. Outdoing everyone mattered. Now I know. Success is loved ones by your side. A worthy cause, a steady heart. Dr. Chen held me tighter. "Let's expand our charity together. When we have kids, we'll bring them here. To show how rewarding helping is." I nodded, full of hope. The old wounds, like fallen leaves. Blown away, buried in soil. Now blooming into a garden of flowers. I'm no longer the people-pleasing wife. Not a woman in marital shadow. I'm Lee, Dr. Chen's wife. A beacon for women in need. I'm myself. Next morning, Chen and I went to work together. At the office, everyone stood at the door, waving flags, chantingly. Dr. Chen, happy new marriage. Old Joe held up a massive banner. Love and career, charity road ahead. Sister Wang rushed back from the branch office, carrying a custom cake with both our names engraved on it. The assistant held a thick photo album, filled with pictures from our charity projects, from our first help to our third hub. Every single page overflowing with heartfelt words. I now grasp what a new beginning means. It's not about erasing the past, but carrying its lessons forward to grow. What completeness truly means is not having everything, but having the right people and meaningful work. A heart full of love, and all of this is only just beginning. Another story has come to an end. I wonder if it made you think of the chapter of your own, your story. If you feel a resonance now, relief, or just a tiny bit of longing for more. 13th month post office hopes to bring you a little warmth and light. Our mailbox is always open. If you have a story or something on your heart you'd like to share, don't forget to drop it in the comments. Every single word you write is the most precious mail we receive. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the little bell next to it so that you never miss a single heartwarming story sent from the 13th, made especially for you. Finally, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. In today's letter, which part did you love the most? Was it the moment the mother-in-law finally understood, or the brilliance of the daughter-in-law's gentle counterattack? Tell me your answer. I'm your mailman friend. Until we meet again in the next letter. Wishing you a peaceful night and sweet dreams.